welcome. My name is Kathy A, and today I'm going to do a video all about ALMAY. And this is a cosmetic line that's actually been around for a little while, and it's kind of in an obscure part of the drugstore a lot of times because it's not a lot of products in the line. It's in a smaller section, and all the other big players, you know, like Maybelline, CoverGirl, and L'Oreal and all them, they're all like screaming at you, and then ALMAY's in this tiny little corner. So it's so easy to miss this line, and I thought that with allergy season and warm weather coming up, a lot of us putting on makeup, sneezing, you know, our eyes are running because of the pollen in the air. I thought I would choose ALMAY because they're kind of known for their hypoallergenic and allergen irritant-free makeup. So today's show is going to be all about that, and I'm going to first do a quick little history of the brand. It was very difficult to find information on this brand. I couldn't even find a picture of the founding man. I found a picture of his wife, but I couldn't find a picture of the guy who actually created the line. There's not a whole lot of like controversy or issues or anything. Nothing really happened to them. So I'm just going to kind of lightly go over a few things with ALMAY to give you a little bit of a history of the brand, and then I'll be back to do a tutorial to show you how I got to here from my freshly scrubbed, moisturized face out of the shower.
The ALMAY story begins in 1930. Fannie Mae Voititz had a problem. The heavy makeup available at the time had ingredients that were too harsh for her complexion. Fannie Mae begged her husband Alfred to experiment with the makeup and find out what was causing the irritation and maybe change the formulation. Her husband Alfred was a chemist. He sought the help of a famous dermatologist of the day, Dr. Salzberger. He started a university for dermatology and wrote the color atlas of dermatology. They came up with a formula for cosmetics that was pure and gentle enough for Fannie Mae to use. Combining the name Alfred and his wife Fannie Mae, the name ALMAY was born in 1931. The sale of ALMAY Cosmetics went rampant all over the nation. They were the first to be hypoallergenic. They were also the first to be totally fragrance-free, and they were also the first for allergy testing for irritants, and they were the first to be used by people wearing contact lenses. They were also the first to design makeup for different skin types, because up to that point, there was only one skin type for makeup. And this was great timing because something terrible happened in the cosmetic industry. In 1933, Lash Lure was introduced to the consumers, and it was a dye, a black dye that had very, very potently fatal chemicals in it. It worked really well as a dye, but then if it got into your eyeballs, it blinded you. This prompted the FDA to create rules and regulations regarding cosmetics and their ingredients. This caused an increase in animal testing because, after all, they wanted everything to be safe for human consumption, and it actually became popular to brag about the fact that you tested on animals so that it would be safe for the consumers. ALMAY really became popular around this time because they released the ingredient lists on all of the packaging of their products. They used natural things like aloe and cucumber and grapeseed, soybean, milk thistle, and licorice, to name a few. Out of the over 13,000 different chemicals and ingredients available for cosmetics, they only use about 500. So over the years, they became quite famous for their purity and their hypoallergenic status. In the 1970s, in an attempt to shake that frumpy old-fashioned look, they decided to jump on the sexual advertising bandwagon with provocative ads and popular models like Lauren Hutton. In 1987, ALMAY was acquired by Revlon, and they became a little more hip and a little bit more modern, trying to attract a younger audience. In 1994, they went cruelty-free, completely stopped their animal testing. Thank God. They expanded their line to include skincare, deodorant, award-winning makeup removers, and even cologne. We started to see fresh new model faces like Leslie Bibbo, Karen Duffy, Courtney Thorne Smith, and John Cougar Mellencamp's wife, Elaine. She even featured their 2 children in one of the ads. Newer brand ambassadors include Kate Hudson and Carrie Underwood. While ALMAY has expanded its line and has some truly innovative new cosmetics, it stays true to its pure roots. It is still hypoallergenic, the ingredients are still pure and non-irritating, and it's perfect for this time of year. They're especially famous for their acne and oil control products, and I get a kick out of their quirky eye color shades, and they have some really nice foundations as well. Thanks to Fannie Mae Voiditz, ALMAY is still with us today, and those hypoallergenic and irritant-free cosmetics are really worth their weight in gold. They're not the largest line in the cosmetics store, but they're certainly one of the most important.
So there you have it. That is ALMAY Cosmetics, and I really like this brand, and I mean, it's been around forever, and I've used different things from this brand over time. I hadn't tried this one before. This was the first time I had tried it this week when I was experimenting with the brand. I think they're just fine. I had expected to not like them for some reason. I don't know, maybe because I thought they were just has-beens, or, you know, it's just they've always been around, what are they doing different, you know, kind of thing. But they do have some interesting new products and some innovations, some not so innovative, some kind of interesting, and I really like, you know, a lot of the things that are in the line. So and now I'm going to take you into the tutorial, and that's going to show you what I look like fresh out of the shower with a very well moisturized face from start to finish, how I got to here. So from the magic of video, it's going to video past and I'll show you what I look like prior to, and I'm going to put it on fast forward, so we'll make it a quick tutorial, but you'll be able to see the products I used. So we'll be back in a few minutes.
Alright, here we go. Whirlwind tour of ALMAY. Here's the Smart Shade CC Luminous Face Primer. And I'm just going to pat it all over into my skin. I'm just kind of tapping it in. I'm not working it in. It's making my skin a lovely shade of whitish pink shimmer. Now we're going into our Smart Shade Concealer, and this is the lightest of the line. It's a very thin formula. I'm just going to put it on with a foundation brush. And even though it's light and very, very thin formula, it works really well, really good coverage. So I'm actually going to use it almost like a foundation, partially. Next, we're going to use the Smart Shade Anti-Aging Skin Tone Matching Makeup. And I believe this is also the lightest shade. Just put a little on there. I'm dotting it on my face, and I'm going to work it in with my Real Techniques brush, I believe. Oh no, it's my Sonia Kashuk brush. Okay. That went a lot easier and quicker than the concealer. Now the Smart Shade goes on light, and then it turns slowly into supposedly your skin color. I'm just checking to see if there's any patches, if it's sunk into my wrinkles, and it looks pretty good. Okay, going into the powder, this is the Clear Complexion Powder with Blemish Heal technology. It is actually made for people with oily skin, but I couldn't find a powder outside of that. And this is a medium light shade. It's slightly dark for my skin. Of course, in different lighting it looks different, but it was a very warm day and I was sweating, so for some reason I thought I would put powder all over the place. Now this is the Smart Shade Powder Blush, and this is number 10, which is pink. And again, the magic is supposed to happen over time. You put a little on, and then you wait, and then it comes out. So I'm waiting, and I'm not seeing anything. Even in fast motion, it's slowly coming out. You can see some color, but it's very light. I'm fanning it. I'm trying to do whatever I can to make it come out, because I don't want to put too much blush on, and it's hard to tell if it's doing this little changey thing. Trying to do a little 10 and 2 on there, not seeing anything again. I turned the brush over and I was scraping it with the handle to try to get more on there. It's like the Keystone Cops of blush. Okay. Now here's the bronzer. This is a different story. This is the, I guess there's only one shade of powder bronzer, so if Oprah Winfrey or I use it, we supposedly will get the same effect. Yeah, it's a little on the reddish side, like a rusty red side, so I'm not completely happy with this, and it goes on very patchy. So the bronzer definitely is not my favorite in the line here. Just gonna make do with what I have. I actually blended that out a little bit later on, but I didn't hear, I'm sorry. Now I'm going into the eyeshadow, and I'm using that just as a highlighter shade on my upper cheek there because it's a shimmery eyeshadow. Going into the middle third eye and upper cheeks and just above the Cupid's bow. Going into the eyes now, this is one of the trio's Intense Color Bold Nudes, and this is for hazel eyes. It says it's number 413. I ignore all of those directions when they say what color eye you're supposed to have to wear it. I haven't had bad luck with it yet, so I'm just using a combination of the orange and the light shimmer. Now it's hard to find matte shades in this line. Now this one is the Bold Nudes number 412 for blue eyes, and it's all shimmery, which is annoying because I have to put a shimmer shade in my crease, which I don't like to do. I like to use matte shades for this, but I mean the color is nice, but that shimmer stuff just doesn't work. If you get up close to somebody who is older like me, you can see all the little triangles and little lines, crisscrossy lines. Using that darker shade in the outer third of my lower lid. Now here's one of those little new softy things. They're called eyeshadow softies, and there was no color listed on this. I guess you're just supposed to know it's some kind of dark brown. Now it kind of pushes in, it almost feels like a cream, but it's actually a powder. And I'm using it also to line my eyes using a brush. Very thin little brush. I'm not getting a whole lot of color out of that, so I'm probably going to go and reach for the navy blue in that first palette, and I'll use the navy blue in the outer third of my lower lid to go over that dark brown that didn't really have much payout, and I will use it also to go over the line around my eyes to try to pop it a little bit. Now, I did like this particular palette out of the two. This one had the most usable colors in it. I'm going into the bronzer now because I couldn't find a brow pencil, and it actually worked really nicely as a brow powder. Now the Smart Shade bronzer does not change color at all, I noticed. What it went on as is what it stayed, so that was kind of nice. I knew where I stood with it. And it's just slightly dark for my eyebrows, but it's okay, passed. Now I'm just curling my lashes, and I waited 8 seconds on each side, but we're doing this in fast motion, so Now this is the One Coat Thickening Mascara. It's been around forever, and I've used it many times. I used it back in the 90s, probably for a good 8 years in the 90s. I used to think this was a terrific mascara because if slightly waterproof and if your eyes ran, it didn't irritate your eyes. It was a really good mascara for that. Now it's taken me a couple of coats to get any kind of good volume, but it's fine. There's a little bit of a consistency like fake lash glue. Now this is the eyeliner, the liquid one, and it's in brown, which is a dark brown. It's got a shorter brush to it so you can control your line a lot easier. It's a little stiff, so if you have a lot of wrinkles and crinkles and crepey eyes, it actually is easier to work with because you can push them around easier with this. Now for lip liner, there weren't any lip liners in the Almay line, so I'm using Jordana. And that's just a neutral, natural. And then this is the Almay Lip Cream in Cantaloupe. It's actually kind of a gloss with just a hint of color, but this is all they have for lip products right now. I think they discontinued all of their lipsticks, so maybe they're coming out with something new. I don't know, but this is Cantaloupe. And we're done! Yay! No, we're not. Okay, we're gonna blend. We're blending. Oh yeah, gonna do my 10 and 2 with the orange stuff since the Smart Shade blush didn't work. Okay, now we're done. Yay. Alright.
So here's the finished look. Yep, I actually got dressed in between. Anyway, this is Almay, and I'm really surprised that, you know, it came out so nicely, but I did notice that it's like a half shade of oxidation happened with this foundation after only an hour, so you'll see that that has happened. But you know, all in all, it's really not that bad, and I think most of the makeup items were really very pleasant. The concealer was very sheer, although it did do the job it needed to do. It covered all of my blemishes. Again, I wasn't able to do that nice lightness thing I like to do in the middle of my face. The powder was really nice, and this is a special powder. I think it's just for, this got blemish control drugs or something in it. I don't know, but it's supposed to be really good if you have oily skin and adult acne. It's supposed to help you with that. There was no real scent to any of these, which was really nice, and this worked really well. I used it all over. It does give you kind of a matte look. This primer was great. It did give a lot of glow to my skin, but the foundation and everything else kind of covered over it. But it really was a really nice base for the makeup because the makeup went on very smoothly. I didn't see any patches. It didn't sink into my wrinkles. There is no scent. The blush, I had a really difficult time getting the blush to show up. I didn't mind this cute white, you know, foundation comes out white, and then when you put it on, it turns with your DNA or air or whatever it is that changes it. I'm not a scientist, but that was okay. You know, I spread it all over. I could see it because it was white, so I could spread it evenly, and then it kind of turned into my skin color or something close to it. This is the light one, I believe, or fair. Yeah, this is light. So maybe it's, I'd say, a half shade too dark for me, but it started off fine, and then it seemed to oxidize just a little bit more than I was comfortable with, and it's about a half shade dark. The blush, I must have put, and I even used the handle to kind of scrape some out. I thought maybe I wasn't getting enough off of this, but I was. There's a lot of product on here, and it's a very subtle blush. I found it annoying, but I mean, it does do the job, and I'm sure this is going to stay forever because there's like 8 layers on here, and that was okay. I really didn't like the idea that this is supposed to be the Smart Balance also, where you put it on and then a few minutes later it comes out. With blush, I like to know where I stand right away. When I'm putting a blush on my face, I need to know if I'm putting too much on or if I need to add more. I don't need to wait 5 minutes for this, you know, magic show to happen. So I would say that the blush was kind of a fail for me, although it does look nice on. I didn't like that whole trick stuff that it does. You know, and I've had that for a while. I've kept it all this time because I knew I'd do a show on ALMAY. Now the bronzer is a little on the orangey side, so I'm not real happy with that. I think the bronzer is going to go back, but it was a subtle color, but again, I don't really like that kind of orangey glow as far as contouring goes. As far as an all over glow, I could probably take a large brush and go all over with this and I'll be fine, but as a contour, I definitely made a mistake there getting that. Now I really like the eye colors. They do this stupid thing with if you have hazel eyes, if you have blue eyes, if you have green eyes, if you have brown eyes, black eyes, red eyes, you know, and they have all these they have all these colors that's supposed to be enhancing for those particular eye colors. But I find with individual colors in different palettes that I just like the colors for what they are. I don't need to be told that this is only for people with hazel eyes or brown eyes. I don't want to be told that this is what blue eyes have to wear. I think that I had the most fun out of the two palettes here. I had the most fun with this one because this dark navy, it's very subtle. I mean, you have to layer it. I had to add several layers to get it to do anything. All of these shadows are kind of, they're not so much a low payout as you can build the shadow up. Their blendability, I'm not sure about because it either disappeared or it was a little strong. So I'm not sure I really like the blendability of these shadows. But I did like out of the ones that I bought, I did like this a lot. Now this thing called the Softy, this is called the Softy. And I made it look like a teardrop, I think, on purpose because it's awfully pricey for one eye color. And I love it silky soft. It's like, I don't know. It's silky soft. And the color is kind of a taupey shimmer. So you really can't use it in your crease. And I noticed there were no matte browns that you could use in your crease. So I was forced to use a shimmer in my crease. From a distance it's okay. But if you get really close to where I am, you could see the little diamond and crisscross patterns of my crepey eyes shining right on through with this. So I didn't really think the eyeshadows were the top item in this line. Now I've been using ALMAY's One Coat, I'd say since the 1990s when it first came out. I'd say I've been using it. I used it probably about 8 or 9 years straight as my only mascara. I thought it was the greatest mascara in the world. It gives you really nice big honking lashes. Now it was Mother's Day yesterday and we went over to my husband's mother's house and we were outside on the patio. It was very warm and I noticed when we came in, I went to the restroom, there was this little black line where the eyelashes had kind of, you know, struck the upper orbital bone area. So I just took my finger and went like this and it wiped right off. But later on when we got home I was wiping my eye and there was this black stream of mascara yuck that went right across. So it honestly, it's not my favorite anymore, but it did give a nice big honking lash. It did stay on really well. It looks great. And it is for people who have sensitive eyes or, you know, like especially in allergy season, this is really nice. But it did leave little dings up in here, and when I wiped my eye, there's this kind of slimy, it's almost like a feeling of lash glue, that kind of a feeling on the mascara. Once it's dry, if you pull on your lashes a little bit with it, it's got that kind of feeling to it, like dried mascara glue, you know, fake lash glue. So I did like very much the eyeliner. I dropped it. Well, anyway, you remember what it was. That was the eyeliner. It went on very well. It stays put, and it's a short enough brush that you can control it really well, and I like that. Now the biggest mystery to me was why they don't have any lipsticks. There's no Almay lipsticks. That's it. It's just these things. And I looked in 4 different places. I went to Target, I went to Rite Aid, I went to CVS, went to Walmart, and nobody had anything except these for lip products. And I thought, really? Because it's so sheer. It's not even, you know, look at this. It's just a little light wash of color, and it feels great, it looks nice, but it's just my lips with a little bit of a hint of something. But it's just my lip color, really, and that was kind of disappointing because I wanted this color. You know, I love this color, and it just did not pay out, but it's a very pleasant, nice lip balm kind of thing. It's still moist. I put it on, I'd say about an hour ago, and it's great. So all in all, I say the brand, it's just so overlooked, and you don't hear a lot of people talking about Almay very often, and I think it's a shame because there are some great products. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. It was a lot of fun. I wanted to do something that was drugstore that people would recognize. I was a little surprised at the story, and you know, it's not the first time we've had somebody who made something for their wife, you know, so she could wear cosmetics. It's not a new story, but it's kind of nice to know that the Almay comes from 2 people's names. I had a hunch it was something like that. I like the brand. I like their history. I have nothing against them. Of course, you know, the animal testing issue is something that I'm aware of for all brands. And this particular brand I know does not do animal testing. They are cruelty-free. But because they were purchased by Revlon, Revlon has ties with China, and of course China does test on animals, so it's not Almay's fault, but unfortunately, who knows. Anyway, Almay doesn't test on animals, and I really like the brand. They're really good this time of year when you've got allergies and when you've got hot, warm days, you're going to events like graduations and weddings and things, and you want something that you can sit outside with that's not going to be when your eyes start running or your nose, you have to start blowing your nose, that's not going to get your eyes irritated or react to your skin. So I think it's a terrific line, especially for those of you with really sensitive skin. And also it's got a great acne line, and the makeup remover pads, which I don't have any of them right now, but I have used them in the past, they're award-winning and they're really good. I mean, Almay's got some terrific skin care type products as well, but the makeup remover pads are okay. So everybody have a wonderful week, and I will see you probably next Saturday with something new. I think it's going to be Paula's Choice finally, or Kat Von D. I don't know, one of the 2. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Toodles.